As time progresses this weekend and the first round of the Battlefield 6 beta comes to an end, and after all the footage I've seen, I'm asking myself the same sort of question over and over in that, is Battlefield 6 finally the comeback we need to get Battlefield on track and to put Call of Duty in its boots? Or is it just 2042 and maybe somewhat Battlefield 5 repeating itself? Well, I think the answer is yes and no, and I'll elaborate further on that as the video goes on. But for at least keeping it positive, I think Battlefield 6 is being received well. And truthfully and honestly, it does look good. And unfortunately, I don't have any footage of my own because I couldn't get into the beta, as well as something else in the Call of Duty community really caught my attention this weekend unexpectedly. And don't worry, I will have a video coming out in the coming days regarding the subject because I gotta wait till it marinates a bit. But aside from that, I am gonna wait until the next round of beta testing next weekend because hopefully they'll figure out the queue times and maybe fix some of the things just to get more feedback on. I don't know, we'll see. A lot of people that participated in the closed beta or were flown out to like LA are saying that this is the same build, so we'll see. But back to Battlefield 6, it's being received positively. Now, there are some qualms that people have, but for the most part, in terms of a comparison between this and 2042, oh, this is already so much better. I mean, 2042's beta, I even played like the 2 rounds that it had, and I was like, this game needs to be delayed a year. It is not ready for public consumption. And then they still released it, which this is kind of the same time frame as 2042 in terms of like close to release, because Battlefield 6 is releasing on October 10th, which does scare me a bit because that is technically 2 months away. And there are quite a few things that Battlefield 6 needs to fix, performance and bugs being one of them. Again, not nearly as bad as 2042, but they are still there and are causing problems for people's rigs and everything, as well as there are some gameplay design choices and everything that some people really don't like. And I am kind of in that boat because the common comparison I've seen is that, it's similar to Call of Duty. It's now Battlefield jumping on Call of Duty's bandwagon and basically trying to catch up with them and follow their gameplay style as a way to grab Call of Duty players that are now unsatisfied with the state that Call of Duty has been. I mean, even the DICE developers are coming out and calling out Call of Duty, shit with their microtransaction bundles being way too out of tone for the setting that Call of Duty was known for over a decade. And I agree with that statement. Some of these bundles, like really, an American Dad crossover, like really? Why does that have to do with Call of Duty or Black Ops in general? It's just so stupid. I mean, we saw this pattern happening in Modern Warfare 22 with that Nicki Minaj bundle. I still can't believe that actually exists. Now, I will only give one piece of credit because I have seen the voice lines of this operator, and while it is kind of cringe, the one credit I'll give is at least Nicki Minaj isn't a terrible voice actor, unlike some of the other operators in that game, or have come since. Because, I mean, we could even go back further. It's probably even Cold War where this started. But I think Cold War, at the very least, tried to keep it period-specific. I mean, you had the Die Hard bundle and the Rambo bundle that were sort of period-specific in the 80s. And the Scream bundle, which is honestly the best bundle in that game in my opinion, and I'm upset that I missed out on it, but it was based off the Scream movie from 89. But those previous 2 bundles, with John McClane and Rambo, they just ripped the lines from the movie. Whereas the Scream bundle, they actually got the voice actor of Ghostface to voice those lines, and honestly, they're the best dialogue in the whole game. But still, tying it back in, aside from Cold War, Modern Warfare 22 really did start this trend of just awful bundle operators that just don't fit the theme, or at the very least, try to tie into the time period of the game somehow. And it's just getting ridiculous. I mean, Black Ops 6, aside from the American Dad bundle, they also got Beavis and Butthead, which the only relation to the time period is when those franchises were first started, but it's still stupid because it goes against the tone. Because now when you think of Call of Duty, you think of Fortnite because they're trying to follow Fortnite. But tying it back into Battlefield, because I really went off on a tangent on there, Battlefield at least isn't going to go down that route. And that's a huge win in my book because keeping time period or era period kind of skins to keep a game grounded is important. I mean, you can have crossovers if it works. Like, for example, Monster Hunter World has a crossover that includes Geralt from The Witcher 3, and it ties in and plays very well, aside from some issues with the actual mission itself, but regardless, it still works very well and beautifully, because it fits. Geralt would fit in the world of Monster Hunter World, because he hunts monsters in his world, and it doesn't seem off-putting for him to somehow be transported, given that there's magic in the Witcher franchise, for him to be thrown into that world. So, it works. But in Call of Duty's case, they're just really going far off tone for ridiculous reasons. So knowing that Battlefield is going to keep it grounded is such a relief to hear, because even Battlefield isn't immune to this. They did this back in Battlefield 5 and even 2042 for a bit, but then they kind of toned it back when they saw the response. But still, at least that's the step in the right direction. But then the other things with Battlefield 6 that looks promising is that it looks like it's not only a return to form, but it's also keeping the Battlefield 3 style, which is kind of the reason why I have footage of Battlefield 3 in the background, because I feel like it's similar in terms of aesthetic, minus the blue filter. But in terms of aesthetic, it is similar to it, and it feels like it to an extent. And I know we're not going to please everybody, but at least following the road of Battlefield 3 and 4 is a start to get this franchise back on track. But at the end of the day, the developers of old, most of them are gone. They're either doing the finals or some other franchise. Maybe not even first person anymore, but they're all gone. The magic that Battlefield had after Battlefield 1 is pretty much gone. And there's nothing we can do about it except hopefully Vince Zampella, the new, guy in charge of Battlefield, is going to hopefully keep things going and fork. I mean, hey, you got the guy that was the former head of Infinity Ward during Modern Warfare 2 in 2009, who branched off and created Respawn, which created Titanfall and Titanfall 2, good games in their own right. So it seems that Battlefield's in good hands. And this beta, based on what I've seen from footage and everything, from people talking about it, there is a lot of hype. And there are some people that are saying that this is kind of a trick. EA is kind of manipulating or not really actually listening. To those I say, yeah, that might be true with some of the design decisions, and we kind of have to hold off and wait, which is why I'm saying, as you saw in the thumbnail, please, for God's sakes, don't pre-order. Don't pre-order. Play the beta, see how it is, and then wait till it actually launches, which is what I'm going to do. And the only reason I would ever buy or pre-order a game at launch is if a key is given to me by a development team for me to cover it. Otherwise, I'm not going to do that. I'm not pre-ordering games anymore. Last game I pre-ordered was Cyberpunk 2077. Now, I don't really regret my purchase, but I still took it as a lesson because at the time, Cyberpunk was a buggy, disgusting mess, and it basically told me no more pre-ordering no matter what. And that's what it comes down to, is don't pre-order, play the beta, see how it feels to you. Probably next weekend. There's probably not enough time tonight to play it as I'm recording this video. But give it a try. It's worth giving a try just to see how it'll make you feel and how it'll play for you, because everybody has different experiences. But just remember that pre-ordering, even if it all feels good and you're excited and you're looking forward to what's coming, pre-ordering isn't going to net you anything good or positive anyway. Like, it's not like back in the days when pre-ordering a game, reserved a copy. It doesn't work like that anymore. It'll still be there, ready to be purchased digitally, or even get a physical copy down the road. So just wait for that, be a little patient just to see what happens. Because remember, 2042, remember that launch and those betas and how bad that was? Battlefield 5, maybe not as bad of a launch as them, but Battlefield 5 still had problems, even at launch. And it's why I didn't even buy that thing until all the updates and everything were done for $15. And even then, I still couldn't stand that game. But that's for a video for another time. Just remember 2042, remember how good the marketing and everything was, and how they kind of tricked us, in a sense, with, showing all these cool things with the Renazook against the Jet. It was a trick. The marketing team, hey, they know how to market a game, and it got people excited. People were saying Battlefield's back, but then look at the result. And, 2042 I still think is a fine game. In my opinion, I think it's better than 5. 5's just garbage all around. But I can save that for another video. The point is Battlefield 6 does look like it's in the right direction and where the franchise needs to be. And I'm excited to try this game in the next beta run this next coming weekend, because I think it's worth playing and giving a try. Even if it runs like absolute shit for me and has issues, I still at least want to get some footage to show you guys and, talk about it for a bit. Maybe even record some footage and save it for future videos. But we'll have to wait and see. And I think gaming right now in the FPS scene, it is looking positive. And I definitely am looking forward to, as long as Vince Zampella and the team keep it grounded, listen to the community, and figure things out, I think Battlefield 6 might finally bring back the franchise after a long and horrible hiatus in the last 7 years of just awful updates and not listening to community feedback, layoffs, and just all-around horrible management. Because, man, the FPS scene really needs it, and especially Call of Duty needs a competitor. Now, Call of Duty, to answer the no of my question at the beginning of the video, Call of Duty isn't going to go anywhere. Stop listening to the videos trying to tell you otherwise. Call of Duty is never going to be beaten out because there's always going to be idiots that are going to buy it. every single year, so just let it go. All we can hope is that Call of Duty will have a competitor that forces them to change and adapt to feedback, and we'll have to wait and see. But I think Battlefield has and always will be one of Call of Duty's greatest competitors. Halo would have been, but Halo is just, at this point, a dead franchise because no one's excited for Halo anymore. Everybody's become apathetic about the whole franchise now, which is the worst thing you can do for a franchise. But still, let me know your guys' thoughts on the whole beta situation. Are you still kind of burned out by Battlefield's history in the last almost 7 years? Are you still apprehensive about the beta, or are you just enjoying the beta or enjoying how Battlefield looks right now? Let me know in the comments down below, because I'm always wanting to know just how some people are feeling about, Battlefield's situation, because the winds blowing seem to indicate it's going positive, but who knows? Maybe some people like you have interesting takes on the matter. So anyway, that's all I really have to say in this video. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell to know when I post a video, because we are still on the road to 500 subscribers and a step closer to being monetized. And as of recording, I am at 458 subscribers. So once again, just going to keep going forward and hit that 500 and be a step closer to being monetized. So anyway, I'll see you guys with another video later this week. Y'all take care and have a good rest of your weekend.